The Fate series has been going on for over 21 years now, becoming the biggest, most confusing franchise to follow, but we aren't here today to talk about that. We're here for the main appeal of Fate, its characters. And today I wanted to look at how accurate, or painfully inaccurate, each Fate Stay Night servant is compared to the original legend. So, let's start with the face of the franchise, Saber, aka King Arthur. King Arthur is one of the most well-known legends on the planet. TLDR, he's a man chosen by Merlin to become Britain's greatest king by pulling Excalibur from the stone. Anyway, Arthur becomes a legendary king until everything crashes in classic medieval soap opera fashion. Betrayal, doomed romance, entire Game of Thrones seasons packed into one mess. So, what about Saber? Well, let's address the elephant in the room. King Arthur was a guy, Saber is not. But outside that, her personality is actually a very solid interpretation of Arthur's character. She is noble, dutiful, stubbornly idealistic, and constantly suffering because people keep failing her. As for Excalibur, in legend it was a divine sword, glowing, holy, powerful, but it didn't exactly fire laser beams capable of destroying entire fortresses in one go, so we lose a few accuracy points for style. So overall, Saber gets a solid 7 out of 10 on the accuracy scale. Great spirit, wrong gender, but overall a great representation of King Arthur. Next up, Gilgamesh, the self-proclaimed King of Kings. Before kingdoms had names, before heroes were written in ink, Gilgamesh ruled. He's the protagonist of the Epic of Gilgamesh, the oldest written story humanity has. The real Gilgamesh begins as a tyrant, proud, untouchable, thinking the world exists for his entertainment. But the death of his closest companion, Enkidu, breaks him. He searches for immortality, fails, and returns wiser, finally becoming a good king. Fate freezes him right at the beginning of that arc, the most arrogant version possible, that every moment is my golden hour version. Not wrong, just one-sided. And his Gate of Babylon? Well, Fate took the metaphor literally. In the myths, he possesses all treasure of civilization, and Nasu said, okay, so he has everything? Cool. Give him every single noble phantasm and make him throw them like a fucking machine gun. Exaggerated? Yes. But the foundation is genuinely faithful. Overall, Gilgamesh gets a 10 out of 10 on accuracy. It's the right Gilgamesh, just permanently stuck in his ego phase. Alright, on to the best character in all of Fate, Cuchulainn. Cuchulainn wasn't just a hero, he was a storm wearing human skin. In Irish myth, he trained under the warrior witch Scatach, fought armies alone, and lived a life so chaotic it reads like someone's speedrunning tragedy. His spear, Gaebog, was described as a weapon that guaranteed death once it pierced the body. Fate took that to the letter and made his spear, no matter what, can't miss and will pierce you and insta-kill you. Over dramatic? Absolutely. But honestly, Irish legends are wild enough that it fits. And for his personality, that cocky, relaxed attitude that gives you the I don't give a fuck attitude, well, that is pretty much what Cuchulainn was, minus a bit of insanity. Overall, he gets a solid 9 out of 10. They have toned him down a little bit, but they made him a much more lovable character, and he will always be a 10 out of 10 in my heart. And then we have Medusa, one of the most famous Greek monsters in history. Except Fate doesn't use the monster, Fate uses the girl before the curse. In myths, Medusa lived with her sisters as the priestess of Athena. She was human, unlike her immortal sisters, and was known for her beauty. And then tragedy struck, as Greek myths tend to do. Poseidon forced himself on her inside Athena's temple. Medusa prayed to her goddess for help, and Athena punished her, angry that her temple was defiled. Yeah, not a great look, Athena. Well, Athena cursed Medusa, transforming her into the Gorgon we know. Snake hairs, petrifying gaze, seen as a monster by the world. While Fate looks at it and says, what if we keep the girl who was wronged? So, Ryder is based on Medusa before the curse, but with her eyes still having the petrification abilities. And she got Pegasus as well, since in myth it fits, since Pegasus was born from Medusa's body. Overall, it's not accurate to what Gorgon is. It's a what-if scenario that Naso has made to give Medusa a chance, and I love her for that. But unfortunately, on the accuracy scale, she would get a 4 out of 10. She follows the myths, but it's pretty much Nasu's own original character. Well, if we're talking about Gorgon though, yeah, that's at least like a 9. Then we have Sasaki Kojiro, the man who never lived. Kojiro is a legend created to make Musashi, aka Japan's greatest swordsman, look cooler by giving him a dramatic final arrival. He's an idea, not a confirmed historical figure. A fictional swordsman defined by one move, the Tsubamagashi, a technique so fast it seems to slice in multiple directions. And for Fate, well, yeah, they take exactly that. We only know about him his one move and that he was cool and strong enough to fight Musashi. So that's what we get. A traditional swordsman that's for some reason an assassin, still confused about that part, and he has his iconic move. Overall, I can't really give him a rating. We know very little about him and the Fate interpretation of him seems to be the most common belief right now. So for right now, his rating for me will be 1 scared Bani Enma out of 10. Next, we have Medea. More proof that Nasu absolutely loves Greek tragedies. So in Myths, Medea was a princess and one of the greatest sorcerers in Greek lore. She helped Jason win the Golden Fleece, betrayed her family for him, and followed him across the world. And how did Jason repay her? By abandoning her for another woman so he can get political power. A+ husband material, driven by rage and grief and divine madness, Medea killed Jason's new bride, and depending on the version, even killed her own children. Fate tones her down a lot. She's still bitter about Jason, still incredibly powerful, but she's calmer, more like a tired witch who's moved on and found new hobbies. Whether it's a relationship in unlimited braidwork or crafting tiny dolls. In Myths, she's more I will curse you and your entire bloodline, while in Fate she's closer to I'll put you in a jar and sell you kinda. Same energy, different price range. So overall, she also gets like a 4 out of 10. Again, it's more so just a loosely inspired Medea that Nasu wanted to make. Alright, and onto the man, the myth, the absolute disaster of anger management, Heracles. Heracles is arguably the most famous hero in all Greek mythology. This guy was actually built different. Literally, half god, son of Zeus, and so strong he could do things like strangle a lion to death with his bare hands before breakfast. But Heracles wasn't just strong, he was clever, loud, charismatic, and surprisingly goofy when not in rage mode. But gods being gods, Hera cursed him with madness which led to tragedy. Damn, if Greek heroes didn't suffer, were they even Greek? Well, so how did Fate go about this? Well, Fate takes all that and goes, what if he was very angry and also immortal? Hercules' god hand ability is resurrection, right? So Fate went, wait, so he can survive anything, right? Cool, 12 lives, bulletproof, swordproof, missile-proof, anti-tank rifle-proof. Heracles in Fate is accurate in strengths, accurate in backstory, but missing everything else. He's still the core idea of unstoppable Greek Superman, but overall, that's it. They went with the crazy route for him, so I will give him like a 6 out of 10. Physically and perfect, but mentally less Disney hero, more just a crazy person. And finally, we have Assassin, Hassan of the Cursed Arm, the most grounded character in the whole cast. The Hassan name actually refers to 19 different people in Islamic folklore, each one the old man of the mountain. The leader of the real word, Hashashin, the historical group that gives the word assassin. Every Hassan had a different specialty, personality, and even a different fate. Fate takes this idea and says, what if each Hassan is basically a job class? So, Cursed Arm is the Hassan who mastered the art of killing with cursed right hand so deadly it could rip out the heart in one strike. In terms of personality, Cursed Arm is surprisingly accurate to how the Hashashin were described. Calm, loyal, efficient, frighteningly dedicated to their mission. He's not a literal historical person, he's a composite, a representation of the Assassin Order's legend. but his vibe is very much on point. The only inaccurate part is the giant monster arm because, unfortunately, history does not list giant shadow demon hand technique in medieval Middle Eastern training manuals. Believe it or not, yes, he did not make a deal with the El Shaitan in real world. But everything else, the stealth, the discipline, the deadly precision, is completely fitting. So overall, gets an 8 out of 10. And that's it for the Fate Stay Night cast. Nasu clearly took some creative liberty while making every single one of them, but overall, I think Nasu is truly just a history buff who really wanted to show off his skills, so I completely understand where his original creations went, and I truly support it. Fate is huge after all, and he truly did make a franchise that is worth it, so if you do want me to look at any other Fate servants, maybe for Apocrypha, do let me know. Anyway, hope you learned a little bit more about Fate. Have a wonderful day.